Thanks for joining me, everyone. I'm Gatesy from Forged from Irons. I've got Duke, my wingman, with me on the other side of the screen, and we are bisected by... Who's this? We got Jake. Jake from Ham Unofficial. How are you, sir?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm not quite sure what's just happened in the last 20 minutes, but we're talking about football, so let's go.
Nah, listen, let's not.
To be fair, mate, we're one of the only few streams that actually talk about football when it comes to West Ham.
There you go.
At least we're not talking about food.
Who else could you be talking
Sorry,
about?
Russ.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he won't be happy. He'll be calling you rude words when he sees this.
Look,
anyway, before we
he's
go
not
any
liking
further,
it. Look,
Russ.
he's not liking it.
Mini
He's not
Russ.
liking it. Look.
Mini Russ. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a little shout out to Isla's Army. Isla Caton, if you don't know, she's a young 6-year-old girl. She's in urgent need of medical assistance that is not available in this country. Therefore, it is very expensive. Her family have to put their entire life on hold and cart this poor little girl around all corners of the globe to try and save her life. If you guys watching have got any spare change I know these are tough times, but these guys are absolutely going through hell on earth right now, guys, more than you could possibly imagine. So if any of you guys have got anything that you can bring to the table, anything you can put in the tin, whether it's £1, £100, £50, £10, whatever it is, this family needs it. This family will appreciate it. And even if you can't, if you could just share it out and raise some awareness, and keep some momentum behind this appeal. There's a PayPal page. There's a Just Giving page. Whatever you can do, guys, will be much appreciated. I thank you for your attention. So, Jake, the reason we have brought you here into this cauldron of chaos is for your squad tier list for next season. Now,
Duke liked that name.
He did.
I think we're going to coin that. I think that's going to go across the bottom at some point. I'll tell you what, Jake, you and Rob have just coined our live talk show once a week. I think that's it. I'm gonna write that down. Where's my pencil gone? I'm gonna write that down. I was trying to come up with a name earlier, Jake, for our live show, and there it is. Thank you. Carry on.
Pre-match discussion. What was it? Something a cauldron.
Cauldron of chaos. There we
Cauldron
go.
Cauldron of chaos. Pre-match discussion.
I just come up with these things just like that, and they're usually alliterations, as you'll notice. There are some slight deviations. I probably should have called Peach the Canadian Cyclone, but for whatever reason, I went with the Canadian Whirlwind. But all the other ones that I've come up with so far have been alliterations. For example, James Beaver, he is the Dagenham Destroyer. There you go.
Dagenham's still in one piece.
I'm gonna dissect that. He's from Dagenham and he's very brutal with his pickings. I've watched an hour and 20 minutes of that.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that went in the bin, wasn't there? He was pretty brutal, but I tell you what, I could completely understand his argument for every single one of them. Not saying I agreed with them all necessarily, but I could understand why he was thinking the way he did. So there you go. Right. So for any of you that are watching and thinking, what the hell is he going on about? What's a tier list? Well, basically what I've got is I have got 25 players from the current West Ham squad. I've excluded for time reasons the youth players in the main. So, and we've got 4 categories that these players can be put into. From top to bottom, we have players that have a long-term future at the club. So we're looking at players that you envisaged will be at the club for 3+ seasons. Below that, we have the category 1 or 2 seasons. The next one below is you're not sure, and it could go either way. And then below that are people that you're quite happy to say, see ya to. So real
And you know which player's going in there?
I have a rough idea.
Just skip to the end and take him and put him in there, Rob. Just don't even bother asking him about it. Skip to the end because it's all in alphabetical order. We know this because you've not managed to change it yet. So just skip to the end, take that one player, drop him in the bottom. Listen, no one needs to hear his excuses because we know we don't like him.
So is that Declan Rice? You want to get rid of Declan Rice? I'm getting 120 million quid. I'm guessing it's Ray Yarmolenko.
Yeah. Do you want
Would
me
I be
to
right?
give you Do you want me to give an explanation?
If you want to, it's entirely up to you.
Yeah. I personally think that he's no use up front. I think he's a Ukrainian donkey that don't move, and he needs to go. Thank you very much. See ya, Andrei Yarmolenko.
I think that's
That
a bit
was-
harsh
that was-
to Ukrainian donkeys, to be
I-
fair.
I
say,
think
Because
it is
I
actually.
do believe they carry a big weight and they, up and down these mountainsides in Ukraine. I don't know if they've got mountainsides in Ukraine.
I'd like to thank you so very much, Mr. Cox, because what you don't realise is that of our 53 subscribers, 52 of them are from the Ukrainian Donkey Sanctuary, right? And they have all just unsubscribed en masse, thanks to you. We now have one subscriber left. Thank you so much.
Me.
You're sitting there with over 1,000 subscribers, and none of them are from the Ukrainian Donkey Sanctuary, are they?
Can we get any of them in on loan?
Yeah, that might be an idea.
Is there a transfer fee involved for Jake's subscribers that we can bring
option to buy?
Right, let's get on with it.
Shall we crack on? Okay, so we're going to go in alphabetical order up to a point, but then there will be a plot twist. Why is that, Gatesy? Well, you'll find out at the end. So we're going to start here, and that is Felipe Anderson.
See ya. Yeah.
Oh.
I like it.
Yeah, for me, I think he's had his time. I mean, it's frustrating. Not Andrei Yarmolenko. We spoke about him. For Felipe Anderson, but I don't think he can come back. And even to be fair, whether he'll get in the squad. Hello. I think his time has passed at West Ham, and I think he wouldn't fit in a David Moyes' side. David Moyes would get frustrated with his work rate or lack of it, and I think it's time to say, see ya.
Yeah, don't disagree with you, mate. Do not disagree with you one bit. Michael Antonio.
See, you've put 3+ seasons on that. I've got to go with it. Go for the number one, Gatesy. I think he is really, really clinical to our side. There's no doubt about it how important he is to our side, and I was tempted to put him in the 1 or 2 seasons, but I think he's got the 3 seasons in him, and he's so clinical, and he's much needed for our side.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, mate. That's not a problem. Listen, this is you. You are David Moyes, and you can do what on earth you like. Not a problem, mate. If you wanted to put Felipe Yarmolenko in the long-term future category, you crack on. I'll give you that.
That has distressed me. That has.
I apologise. I will send round the men in white coats to soothe you as soon as this broadcast is over.
Let's go.
I apologise. Right. Next one. Fabian Belle Buena.
I think this picks itself because in the last few days it's come out that he's pretty much not going to extend his contract and he wants to leave. So, see ya. I think...
he's in the bin.
He is. Of course, we have 4 players and 3 of them are in the bin. But he was good. He was better when he was alongside Ogbonna because Ogbonna actually talked, not like Diop can sometimes. He's got the nature ability to. That's probably not even a word, but to kind of stop communicating. But Dawson's come in, and I think he's been unlucky to be put behind Big Craig Dawson, and I think Diop's in front of him now, and I think his time's come. He's been a good servant for us in the last few years, but see ya.
Yeah. Well, that word you came out with, it might be a word in Somerset. I don't know.
We'll make up a lot of words, Gatesy.
It's true.
Tell me after we've hit the end broadcast button. I need to be educated.
All right.
Right.
Can I just jump in? Jake, how do you feel about the fact that we haven't got Buena tied down to a contract? Even if, like you say, although he's going, we could have sold him on, we could have made some money out of it. How do you feel the fact that we've let it get to, to this point that, he's going to walk away for free? We've invested time, in the training, the money, in the wages and everything else. Although it's something that haven't worked. I'd like to sort of have got, in January if we could have got some, some cash back for our investment, if you will. How do you feel about the fact that we're letting him go for, Jack Diddley's spot?
Well, it's a bit of a shame in it, but I mean, this happens in football. It's not really. I mean, Duke, how much do you really think we would have got for him? I think he would have gone to the Italian league. I think. We wouldn't have got much more than £5-10 million for him, would we? But well, it's disappointing. But at the end of the day, what's done. So we can't.
It's frustrating. I mean, I see where you're coming from. But like I say, I would have liked to have seen him pick up, or us to pick up, maybe even if it's just been like maybe a couple of million for him would have been, for me, would have been the better option.
Yeah. Yeah, but hey ho.
It is what it is. We move on. Saeed Benrahma.
Long-term future for me. I mean, you all know I love Saeed Benrahma. I'm hoping he's going to play. I mean, the game would have been done by the time this has come out, but we're filming this on Saturday. I mean, Monday. I hope he plays. He isn't getting enough game time. He isn't getting the chance to really express himself. Long-term future for me, I think he's a gem, and we've just got to release him, and let's hope that starts on Monday night for me.
Yeah, sounds good, mate. Next player on the hit list, Jarrod Bowen.
Yeah, for me, same plays, long-term future. I think he has kind of dipped in the last 10 games. I think he's I don't quite know what's going on with him, but all players have a dip. Let's hope he can come back. If he gets a goal and gets himself firing again, I think there is a very, very good player in him, and he's a Moyes player. He's a hard worker, and there's no reason why he shouldn't go in that top tier for me.
I think. And again, I've said this to the other lads that have said about Jarrod Bowen. The only thing as a mitigating circumstance I'll put out there is it came out in about a month or so ago, something about he has some sort of underlying medical issue going on. So I can completely appreciate that may impact on sort of like some of his capabilities. The only thing that I would then counter with that, though, is whatever his medical issue is, it doesn't probably stop him from getting his head up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it's frustrating, but he's still young, he's still got time, and I'm sure he will mature. I'm sure David Moyes and Kevin Nolan, the people around him, he's got good people around him, and I'm sure that will mature him, and he'll come back a better player, and he'll look up.
Hopefully so. Either that or his neck muscles need work. Okay, Vladimir Coufal.
Straight in that top tier again, long-term future for me. I mean, 5.4 million quid. I mean, he's the best right back I've seen in my time. I mean, there's not much competition there, but...
Hang on. You mean he's better than Guy Demel and Joey O'Brien?
Oh, I think so.
Rob, you and me are better than Guy Demel and Joey O'Brien.
Well, to be honest, if I'm being honest, I've only actually seen Joey O'Brien out of that properly to remember, because I mean I've only really put common sense into watching West Ham in the last about 3 years, so
we're still waiting for that to happen, Duke and I.
Well, there you go.
Next player on the hit list, Aaron Cresswell.
For me, Cress, he goes in the 1 or 2 seasons category for me. I mean, Cresswell, he's been fantastic this season, but I mean, hopefully there's going to be somebody coming in. I mean, Zinchenko, I mean, it's all been going around, but yeah, I think that's the time frame he's got left for me. I mean, he's 31. I've just looked up. He's 31. So. Yeah, 1 or 2 seasons for me. He's been a great servant to the club. I think he's had a new light in that centre-back position in the 3 at the back. But I think 1 or 2 seasons category is where he is for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfectly fair, mate. And but he's this year's Cinderella man, isn't he? I mean, sort of like last season, everybody was saying his legs had gone, he was done, this, that, and the other. But when I did an interview earlier on with Baz from Isla's Army, and he put forward the hypothesis that a lot of the reason why he was having a hard time last season was because of the player that he had in front of him, which was Felipe Anderson. And I stopped and I thought about it, and I thought, you know what, he's probably right. Yes, part of it might have been that maybe he lost a yard of pace. Fine, fair enough. But then it was a bit of a double whammy, because not only did that happen, but he had a player in front of him that just didn't really put any effort in tracking back.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a new revolution in the last few months, but yeah, I agree with what Baz has said there. For me, I think he's not getting any help tracking back from Felipe Anderson. We all knew that from when he was there. And actually, I've just noticed Aaron Cresswell, if you can see, is the player on the March calendar. So there you go, Aaron Cresswell.
Aaron Cresswell. And another little thing, when I did the interview with my brother earlier on, he pointed out that Fantasy Premier League, he's actually the top point scorer as far as defenders are concerned, so I believe.
Yep.
He is, you're correct.
Tells you everything. Next on the hit list, now this is not technically a West Ham player, Craig.
Oh, I love him.
I know you do. So I don't think you're going to be putting him in the senior pile somehow.
Oh, you've got to be joking. In the long-term future for me, I don't care how old he is.
Yeah.
I love the man. Craig Dawson goes in the long-term future, and for me, he's still got 3 seasons left in him for me. And for £3 million, we're going to pick up for him in the summer. Not in the summer. Yeah, in the summer, hopefully. I think that's. I mean, what a player he's been. He's come in as a squad player. James Tarkowski was kind of the not expected signing, but the one that was most likely. And then the underwhelming signing comes in of big Craig Dawson. And I mean, he had his chance against Southampton, and fans loved him from the moment he literally whacked Che Adams's head off his sockets. But yeah, he's superb in every way. I mean, he hasn't got pace, but neither's Buena, and I think they are superb in the battle. So Buena out with an injury at the moment, but I mean, for me, where would you guys put him? Are you that confident for the long-term future for you?
Well, I think as a minimum, he would be 1 or 2 seasons as an absolute minimum. But I agree with you. I mean, I think he's 30 years of age now. I don't see any reason, barring unforeseen circumstances, why he couldn't be here for another 3 seasons.
But at the end of the day, Ogbona's 32, and look where he is. I mean, he's still playing extremely well, and he's just 1 year off what Craig Dawson will be in 3 years. So for me, he goes in that top tier because I love the man, and because he's a fantastic footballer. I mean, come on.
Virgil van Dawson, I think, was what Gonzo called him. I'm not claiming that moniker for myself. Gonzo, that's you, mate. I'm going to give you credit for that. Virgil van Dawson.
Go on, Gonzo.
Did you hear what I said about him, Jake?
I didn't. Oh,
I
God.
said we should,
about Virgil van Dawson?
About Virgil van Dawson, we should unretire the number 6 shirt and give it to Dawson. Because of how good he's been so far this season.
I mean, that's pushing it.
Now, it's interesting you say that, because by the time this gets uploaded, the Baz Cox interview will have gone out. And I said to him about unretiring the number 6 shirt with the permission, with the blessing of the Moore family, I have to say. And if they didn't give that blessing, then you don't unretire it. But unretiring the number 6 shirt, giving it to Declan Rice, giving him a contract that makes him the highest paid player at the club, and obviously saying to him, as soon as Mark Noble knocks it on the head, you are captain. End of conversation.
Totally.
Baz was a little bit sort of thing, you know. I don't think he was totally in love with it, and he gave his reasons why, and I completely understand his train of thought, completely respect Baz's opinion, but I just think, why not? You know, I would say he's the closest we've had to Bobby Moore. Probably the only one you could say would have been Rio Ferdinand. But they're the two that I look at and think they've carried on the mantle of, you know, sort of that the legacy of Bobby Moore has been carried down from Bobby Moore to Rio and obviously onto Declan Rice. And I just think, it'd be a nice little bit of symmetry for him to A, be club captain, and B, have the number 6 shirt. But as I say, just my opinion. Anyway, we digress. Issa Diop.
See, I've really found this difficult to think Issa Diop. I mean, I really don't know, to be honest. I really don't know. I mean, the no-brainer would be to put him in the top tier, and that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
But I still think Ogbonna and Dawson have still got a few years left, 2-3 years. And if they don't dip their form, he's not getting in that side, is he? He's really not getting in that side. And I just fear for him because he's such a young player. I think if it goes on any longer, if Ogbonna comes back and if he goes straight back into that side, I really do fear that the attitude level, the kind of, I'm just going to be put straight back on the bench again. I'm wasting my career here. And perhaps he might want to go elsewhere. But who knows? I mean, for me, I think he would feel a bit, if Ogbonna comes straight back in, like, what am I doing here, really? Because I'm obviously behind these two, and I'm wasting my career here. But I don't know. I'd like him to stay. I think there's always a mistake in him, and I prefer Ogbonna and Dawson there. But he's still young. He's still maturing, and let's hope in the next couple of years he can get that out of his game and he can become a very good centre back. So in that long-term future position for me.
Do you know the shame of it is, Jake? He's been at the club. This is his 3rd season, and I don't think he's ever really properly nailed down a first team spot and made it his own. I mean, if Ogbonna was fit for the Leeds game, does Diop keep his place? No, he doesn't. No. In comes Ogbonna straight away. Now, of the defenders we've got currently, the central defenders, Buena, Diop, Dawson, and Ogbonna. Diop is, for me, the best technical footballer of those 4. However, he is not the best defender of those 4. And that's his primary job, to defend. Once he has defended properly, then he can play football. The problem is that he tries to play football before he defends. And he's got it the wrong way round. He's got a lot of potential, obviously. I mean, Mourinho was sniffing around when he was at Manchester United. And I think to have a manager of that caliber, at a club of that caliber, sniffing around a player that at that stage was still in his first season at West Ham, I think says that the guy has potential, but I just wonder whether he's going to be one of these players that after his career is over, you look at him and you go, do you know what? For a guy of the ability that he had, but for what he actually achieved in his career, he should have done so much more.
Yeah, totally agree.
So anyway, we move on. Lucas Fabianski.
For me, this man, Fab, he goes in the 1 or 2 seasons category because I do believe a new keeper needs to come in the summer, and I prefer to see someone young come in, and I prefer to see them kind of sit for 6 months or so, maybe, or maybe they'll decide to bring someone to go straight into the starting 11. Who knows? But I still think there's a year or 2. I'd more be inclined to say a year left in Fabianski because I mean, the injuries are kind of becoming more of a reoccurrence. But for me, he's still got 1 or 2 years left in him. More 1, but definitely, I think.
Realistically, who would be the goalkeeper you would like to see between the sticks next season if we assume that it is not Lucas Fabianski?
I would like to see Johnston coming for me from West Brom. That is my pick. I think he's a good shot stopper. I think he has got the capabilities that perhaps Fabianski doesn't have sometimes of kicking the ball. But yeah, for me, Johnston, young keeper, looks good, looks a good shot stopper, and I think he'd be a good successor. That is my opinion.
So he gets in ahead of Aaron Ramsdale?
Yes.
I was being very provocative.
Honestly, I don't think he's as bad as some people are making out, but I wouldn't like to see him at West Ham because I know Duke's going to come in a minute because I can just see it in his face. But for me, But
Listen,
for me,
I've got the manoeuvrability of a large built-in double wardrobe, and I'd still perform better in goal than relegation Ramsdale right now.
to be honest, I think that he wouldn't get as much stick if he was if he had a better back 4 or 5 in front of him. Do you agree?
Quite probably.
Three of us.
I don't think it's all down to him. And I actually saw something yesterday, and I didn't realise this. But if you look for stats, he is in the top 5 as far as keepers are concerned in the Premier League for making saves.
There you go. And you've left the screen all to me. You've left the screen all to me.
That's because you're the star of the show.
I just jump in on that and just say that a few years ago, if I remember rightly, Fabianski had the best. Was it the best save ratio in the Premier League?
And that was that when they got relegated with Swansea.
But that's because he was facing something like 300 shots more in the season than any other goalkeeper had to do so. I fully understand where Jake's coming from. But my argument still stands that if a goalkeeper has to make 400 saves and saves, half of those to a goalkeeper that only has to make, 50 to 100 saves in a season out of, 175, let's say. Although again, he saved so many, but that's because he's facing X amount of shots more, and I just don't think that for me, that's not that shouldn't make be a decision on whether a goalkeeper is a fantastic goalkeeper. Some of them might have just hit him, some of them might have been quite, pardon my French, piss poor shots as well.
Yeah, cover your ears, Jake. Cover your ears.
Yeah, let's move on then.
To be fair, I think that probably he is being let down by the people in front of him, both at Bournemouth and at Sheffield United. But on we go. So Pablo Fornals.
See, this is difficult for me. For me, I think looking ahead, I think that he shouldn't be playing out on the wing. And for me, looking at it, I think that going forward, I know this is going to be a very not liked comment, but I'd prefer to see Ben Rama in there in the middle, because we have seen, let me explain, that Ben Rama track back, maybe not as much as Fornals, but we've seen him track back when he's had the opportunity, and I just prefer, for me personally, to see Ben Rama on that pitch than I would to see Fornals. I don't know whether you agree with me, you probably don't, but for me, I'm really stuck on this. What do you think about that?
Yeah, listen, I've said it numerous times in videos that I've done with Rob and across many of the other channels. I see Ben Rama. He beats players. He beats players for fun sometimes, and then there's if he's out on the wing, there doesn't seem to be a great deal that goes on in front of him. You notice. When he played with Lingard for the first time, I think it was at the Villa game. The link-up play between the two of them was outstanding because he had someone there, A, on the same wavelength, and B, that was quick enough to be up alongside him in the play, which for me just meant that after beating one or two people, he didn't have to turn around and pass the ball 20 yards backwards, or then attempt to try and beat a third and a fourth man and then lose the ball, and then everyone starts, batting him with a big stick because he's lost possession again. For me, I'd like to see him in the middle with a more mobile centre forward that thinks on the same wavelength as him. You've got Lingard there as well. Fingers crossed Jesse comes in next season and we can try and create a combination of a kind of a triangle front three, if you will, with Ben Rama, Lingard, and Casey's heard me bang on about Ivan Toney over the last week or so. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I'd love to see Ben Rama in the middle. I think he's got a hell of a lot more talent than a lot of people are currently. Those that are beating him with a big stick because he's losing the possession because he's got no one else around him.
No, fair enough.
See, with the tier now, I'm gonna go. I feel like I'm gonna get battered for this. I really don't know.
No, it's your opinion. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
I think he's a very good player, but I prefer to see Ben Rama in there personally. That's probably just because I'm a child and I like to see Ben Rama in there. But I'm going to go for him to go in the second tier for me, to go in the 1 or 2 seasons for me.
Listen, your opinion is the one that's important, Jake. You are in the hot seat tonight. So doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter what Duke thinks, doesn't matter what anybody thinks that's watching this. This is you have carte blanche. You can do what the hell you like. No problem. Right. Moving on. Ryan Fredericks.
It's another difficult one because, I mean, he gets battered. He gets battered, doesn't he, Ryan Fredericks? See, I watched James's video yesterday, and I know James doesn't like him. He put him straight in the senior category. I'm not going to do that because for me, personally, the squad we've got now is thin enough as it is, and considering we're going, hopefully, into some sort of European football next year, if it's the conference, if it's the Europa, even if it's Champions League, even if it is Champions League, we are going to need the players there. And whether they're as good as our normal first team players, something's got to give there. Something's got to give for the players like Rice and Souček. I know Fredericks isn't a central midfielder, but something's got to give for these players that are playing week in, week out without a rest. So for me, I'm going to put him in the 1 to 2 season category. For me, personally, because I think that we could need him for bodies. I mean, saying see ya to some of these players, our squad is thin enough as it is without going into European football, with only focusing on the Premier League and perhaps the FA Cup that we get knocked out of every year between the first 2 rounds. So yeah, I think we do need the bodies there, and we can't afford, because we're not going to go out and get 6 or 7 players. We know that there's not enough money there to do that. So we need to keep the bodies. As much as people don't like their ability, we need bodies in that squad. And these players, they aren't machines. So I'm just looking to the future next year. I think he's all right. I think he'd do okay. But I know James said get a proper right winger, but we just haven't got the money. I'm afraid we haven't got the money there to do that in the summer transfer window, because we desperately need a striker and a central midfielder. And is there going to be any money there after we get a goalkeeper as well with the £60 million? I don't know. So I'm just looking to the future a little bit, and the Europa League or Champions League that we're hopefully going to get into next year. So I'm going to say 1 or 2 seasons, Gatesy.
Well, of course, the thing that could change all of that, Jake, and you're right to point out about the purported 60 million that the board think that we're going to have now, whether we do or not, is largely down to whether they get the money for the outgoings that we're going to get. I mean, there's 20 million in the kitty as of right now, if we believe what they're telling us. They reckon they're going to get 40 million for selling Anderson, Lanzini, and Yarmolenko. I think they're living in clad cuckoo land on that, but let's just pretend for a moment 60 million is the figure. Now, what could potentially change that, of course, if we qualify for, dare I say it, the Champions League? Surely that 60 million has to go up to 100 million, doesn't it?
Oh, well, there probably isn't the money there. Then, Gatesy, then they're not going to spend the money. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, they're not going to spend it. I really don't think they're not.
Well,
I hope. I will happily be proven wrong, but I've got a feeling that this board think £60 million, that is the absolute maximum that we're giving David Moyes, because they want to keep some money.
Oh, the question was more in hope than expectation, to be fair, Jake, I have to say. So yeah. I'm a dreamer. What can you do? So Ben Johnson, not the sprinter of 1988 fame, but
he won't know that.
No, I know. That reference is probably lost on him. So, Ben Johnson.
Long-term future for me. I think he's got a very good future ahead of him. Personally, for me, I think that he's he could. I mean, he usually plays on the right. So he can play it on the right. He can play it on the left. He gives us options there, and we need the options. So I mean, we're not going to go out and sell him, are we? For goodness' sake. So yeah,
not.
that's that. So do I. That is a complete no-brainer. He goes straight in there, and I think he's got a very good future ahead of him.
Yeah, no, I completely agree on that. Duke, anything you want to add to that?
No, mate. I start that again. You heard me say on my video as well there that he can play both left and right, which gives us the versatility of having essentially 5 players across those 2 positions. You know, he obviously significantly more defensively than Masuwaku does on the left. You know, Cresswell kind of now transitioning more towards that left-sided centre back will allow Ben more time to develop out there. And then, like we say, he can play the right where you've got Sufal and you've also got Fredericks. So to have 5 players that are confident enough to be able to play across the 2 wider defensive positions, I think is puts us in really good stead, stands us in really good stead for what goes forward.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. We move on. Manuel Lanzini.
As it saddens me to say it, he's going to have to go in the senior category, and I'm not going to wave him goodbye. I'm not going to wave him goodbye because I love the man. I love the man. And I know I've literally just said we need the bodies, but for me, in that central attacking midfield position, I think we've got enough bodies there. I really do. Look who we've got. We've got Fornals, we've got Ben Rama, we've got Lingard. There is plenty to go around in there, and we need the money. We really do. I think if we can get 10 to 15 for him, I think that would be really good. I mean, I love the man. He was different class with Payet in that last season at the Bowen, but we can all sit here and we've all said the same thing. As soon as his injury, he hasn't been the same. But he'll always be remembered for that season and for his goal against Spurs. So yeah, I love the man, but every good thing has got to come to an end, as you said yesterday, Gatesy.
Not just that goal this season against Spurs, but when we was the first season at London Stadium and we was flirting with relegation and we managed to get a 1-0 victory against Spurs at London Stadium. Do you know what made it really sweet, Jake? Was the fact that sitting next to me, now I think I've told you this, there's me and my 3 kids that have got season tickets at London Stadium. Now, I can't remember which one of my 3 kids, but on this particular occasion, one of them wouldn't go. So who do you think had that other ticket, Jake? Who do you think was sat next to me?
Oh, Mrs. Gatesy.
That was quite nice.
That was interesting, wasn't it? There was no chicken goujons to come home that day.
I was lucky if I had chicken giblets after that, quite frankly. So there you go.
Oh dear. But, anyway.
No, I agree. I think Lanzini, thanks for your service. It's unfortunate you got the injury, but these things happen in football. And for me, you're half a yard, you're half a second behind where you need to be a success in the Premier League. That is the difference between success and failure. It's that thin a margin. And for me, he's the wrong side of it too often now. So thanks very much, Manuel. We'll get what we can for you, and we wish you good passage on the rest of your career. Moving on, we've got another one of the Lone Rangers, Jesse Lingard.
Long-term future. I've said it before. I think I said it on Spanners with Charlie and Ray last week. I think he gives us that last piece of the puzzle that we needed for when Antonio isn't in that side and when he's injured, and that's becoming a very frequent occurrence nowadays. So when he's not in that side, I think that was the last piece that we were missing for the clinical counter-attack, playing proper football on the floor, and he's loving it. You can tell just from looking at his social media, you know, he's loving it. I mean, just looking at that celebration from the Spurs game with the trumpets and the drums and all of that, I think I think coming to West Ham has given him a new pathway in his career. And if I'm being honest, if I'm Jesse Lingard, he knows the squad now. Why would he want to go elsewhere where he's never been before? Why would he want to leave the squad that we've got at the moment? I think it's a no-brainer that he'd want to come. It's just whether we can get the deal over the line, and I hope to God that he does, because I think he's a superb player, and I'm the first to hold my hands up that I didn't want him when he came in, because I thought he wasn't going to be up to fit. I didn't think he was going to be fit. I didn't think he was going to want it to be there. But we saw from the first 20 minutes in the Aston Villa game, he was superb. And for me, Jesse Lingard, sign him up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know when he came, obviously, to the club, there was a purported figure they put on it of around about, you heard in some circles, 10 million, 12 million, maybe even 15 million at a push. Now, latterly, that seems to have changed, and it now seems to be 20 million. Now, okay, the difference between 10 and 20 million to you and me is a lot. To a Premier League club is less so. Now, if we had to go out in the summer, and could we get a player of Jesse Lingard's quality at the age he is for 20 million quid? I would argue you'd struggle.
You really would, and we would have to be, give it a gamble, and we've already got him here, and we know what he does, and he's superb for us when Antonio is in that side. So for me, we've got to sign him up. I've got nothing more to say. There we go, Jesse Lingard, I love you.
He's superb, whether Antonio's in the side or not, in my opinion. To be fair,
yeah.
So there you go. Right, moving swiftly along. Alvin's son, David Martin.
See ya, I'm afraid. I mean, we will never forget that away day at Chelsea, will we? But I mean, I would prefer to see Nathan Trott be in that third position at the moment, because I think he's young. I think he could perhaps have more ability, and I think he could thus looking towards the future. But for me, yeah, he came in, we had the Martins in goal, we've got a chance. That was memorable, wasn't it? That started, I think that was Southampton away that started. Oh, that was quality. But yeah, for me, it is time to go. For me, yeah, nothing more to say. See ya.
Yeah, he had that fairy tale moment at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
And you could see what the moment that final whistle went, he collapsed to the ground. He was in tears. All the players were around him. You could see what it meant that he finally managed to play a match for his boyhood club, the club that his father represented for 20 years, won the FA Cup with, was one of the boys of 86. There was that emotional attachment. And in the moment that the final whistle went, all that emotion came flooding out. And it was really emotional to see. And then when he went up the stairs and him and his father embraced, it was a fantastic moment. Taking that to one side, the brass tacks are he is not a Premier League goalkeeper. No more to be said. So I think, thank you very much, Mr. Martin. If you want a job here as a goalkeeper coach in some capacity, if we can find you one, not a problem. If you want to carry on your career elsewhere, yeah, then fine, not a problem. On you go. But yeah, for me, is he a number 3 or is he a number 4 goalkeeper? Well, if you're number 4 goalkeeper and you're 35 years of age, your race is probably run. I think that's fair to say. But there you
go. Yeah.
Moving on, Arthur Masuwaku. Now I find this guy really divides opinion. Divides opinion.
He really does. Now, I mean, we all say if we play a back 4, we've done 4. If we play a back 5, I think that he could have a chance. But then, I said in the comments of Hammer's Chat's one when they said that if Johnson continues to up his game, I think that could push Masuwaku out of the door, because we've still got Cresswell there for the next 2 years at least, 1 or 2 years, I think. And for me, I think that could really push him out the door. So it's that 3 categories there. I'm not going to sit on the fence and go for the not sure category. For me, I really do like him. I really do like Arthur Masuwaku, but I regret to inform you that I'm going to put him in the senior category for me. I really do like him, but for me, Ben Johnson's coming through, and I think that he really, really could kind of push him out the door, because then we've got, there's a bit of money to come in. I don't know how much we get for him, but there's got to be £10 million there. Would you agree? But
Yeah.
I like him, but it brings a bit more money in, and we've got Ben Johnson there, who's excelling, who's young, who's going to have more chance. But thank you very much for your service, Mister Masuwaku. But your time's up for me.
Yeah, I think you're right. His presence does kind of put a little bit of a handbrake on Ben Johnson's progression. And I think if you've got any ambition of trying to promote youth talent, academy products, then Arthur Masuwaku, thanks, but see you later. Okay, now this is the bit where the plot twist starts to unravel, because I've been going alphabetically thus far. I'm now going to deviate from that, and I'm now going to approach it from the other side. Thomas Souček.
Long-term future for me. It's another one that I completely love. I absolutely love the man. I mean, find me a better box-to-box midfielder that will score goals who's a central defensive midfielder who scored 9 goals this season. He's superb. He is. He's fantastic. And there's nothing more to say. Give him all the potato salad he wants. Keep him at the club. Ring up Barcelona, say, do one. You're not getting him for £28 million. Thank you very much. He's not for sale, and all of his potato salad is staying at Rush Green at the London Stadium. So thank you very much, but he's ours.
I don't know about you boys, but I tell you what, I find it quite insulting. Despite the fact it's a great club, I'm sure it's a huge honour for Thomas Souček to get linked with Barcelona, but let's have it right. 19 million quid he was purchased for. He's a deep-lying midfielder. He has, I believe, 11 goals to his name in basically a calendar year and a bit. Okay? Now, is he worth 26 million quid? No, he's worth a lot more than that. I think for me, a conservative starting point, in my opinion, would probably be nearer 50 to 60 million. That's just to sit down and possibly entertain it, not to say sold, but just to sort of say, okay, maybe have a conversation, maybe see how the land lies. No. But I think ultimately, I just don't see where we get another midfielder that offers the same as the same package that he does. Simple
me. Yeah, I agree. I'm not even going to entertain £60 million. There is no price on Thomas Souček, because for me, I think there's no price on him, and we need to keep him, and that's simple as. And I've no clue. I'm going to be honest. I've got no clue who the next player is. So can you please tell me who it is?
Zandy Silva.
Okay. I'm going to put him in the not sure.
Loan.
Is he? Okay. I'm going to put him in the not sure category because I didn't recognise his face. I know his name, but I know nothing about him. Zandy Silva goes in the not sure category.
That's the first one. And do you know what? When my brother did it earlier, there was only one player that went in the not sure category. And do you know who it was?
Who?
Zandy Silva.
There you go.
There's a little bit of symmetry there. So, have you and my brother been talking?
No, we haven't. No, because he's just come out the sauna.
Yeah, you remember. Yeah, fair enough. Good point. Well made. Good point. Well made. Okay,
he was too busy in the sauna.
Along. I'm sure this guy you're going to get rid of, aren't you? Declan Rice.
Yeah. See ya. No. Declan Rice goes in the long-term future category, and for me, I wouldn't entertain anything less than 110, 120 million pounds, and hopefully no one's going to even think about putting a bid in of that sort of money because he's, the man next to him, he's, if not more, priceless than Thomas Souček, and both of them together, we need them. They're our rock in our midfield, and I think we would deeply struggle without them on our side. So there's no price tag on him either. He doesn't like potato salad, but I'm sure he likes some sort of food, a good roast, I reckon. So the roast is staying at the London Stadium, and Declan Rice is not going to leave West Ham in the next 2 years. It came from me.
There you go. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. So, Winston Reed.
Oh, yeah.
Heartbreaking, isn't it? It's like
I really do.
You feel like the man who killed Bambi in a minute.
I know. I mean, I love the man. Again, there is too many people I love in this side. It's dangerous. in the senior category, I think his time's up. I really do. I mean, people have been tweeting, blaming Brentford. Thank you very much, West Ham, for him. I mean, if we can get some money for him, if we can send him off to Brentford, I'd happily see him go into the Championship, because I think I'd like him to go stay in England, you know. So yeah, Winston Reed, you've been a fantastic servant to our club. You a New Zealand person. I don't know what I was going to say there. But yeah, thank you very much, Winston Reed, for your service. But your time is up at West Ham, and there's new and better things, which is heartbreaking to say, happening at West Ham United at the moment.
Yeah. Anything you want to add about Winston Reed, Duke?
No, to be honest with you, mate, I'm just sitting here with a list that Jake's putting together of his senior crew. And I'm just putting other obviously than the two there. I think that he's got as free transfers in Buena and Martin. I'm just making a little note of kind of fees next to the names of the players he's got there, and I've actually marked down Winston Reed as probably more of a nominal fee, more towards signing Ivan Toney or someone from Brentford as a make weight to be able to get one of those players in. So that's what I'd be using him as.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, I mean, for me, he's been a fantastic servant for the club. Scored against Millwall, tick. Scored against Tottenham, tick. Scored in the last game at Upton Park against Manchester United, the last ever goal, tick, 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 tick. Could have gone to Manchester United or Arsenal or any of the other top clubs and earned himself a lot more money than he could have done at West Ham, although he's been well rewarded here. For me, I mean, he's been at the club since 2010. For me, he should have a testimonial. I know people will say, well, he's had a lot of injuries and he's been well paid and blah, 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 blah. But for me, he could have gone. He didn't go. He signed a 6-year contract. The club gave him a 6-year contract. No one knew that he was going to get the injury that he did. He didn't want the injury that he got. And if he didn't get the injury that he got, the chances are he would still be a mainstay of that back line. But, you know, fate played a cruel twist, but he's now at Brentford. From what I understand, he's doing really well. Long may that continue. I hope Brentford get promoted in some ways. In another way, I hope they don't, because I think if they don't get promoted, our chances of signing Ivan Toney are that much better. But, you know, if it was for Winston Reed and Winston Reed only, I hope that they would get promoted. And I hope that Winston Reed is still able to offer something to the Premier League. So there you go. Anyway, just my 2 pence on it. Thank you, Winston, but I agree with Jake. Time to call it a day. Darren Randolph.
This is really hard for me because I really do like Darren Randolph. This is going to be a very unpopular decision again, but I'm going to put him in the 1 or 2 seasons category, because I think if we do go in and get a keeper that's going to go straight into the starting 11 and kick Fabianski out, I think he's a decent backup for 1 or 2 seasons. I really do like him, and then I think it's time to move on. But I think, and then in that season's time, I think hopefully then Nathan Trott could have matured a bit more, and he could perhaps come in for the 1st or 2nd spot. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to put him in the 1 or 2 seasons category.
No, I don't think that's a controversial or an unpopular decision, Jake. As I say, listen, you are the manager tonight. You can do as you see fit, and it's as simple as that. We're not going to argue with you. We wouldn't dare.
Duke might.
No, he wouldn't. I'd tell him off. Don't you worry.
I'll be honest with you, Jake. You're not a million miles away from where I was when I did mine. I had a few different players in with what you've got there. And to be fair, buddy, we're not a million miles apart. There's a couple of differences, and you know, but that's what these videos are all about. It's all about our opinions and who we prefer in our teams, etc.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. We are coming to the last but one Angelo Ogbonna.
He's on the cusp. This is a really these are, I don't know why I keep saying it, but this is hard. He's on the cusp of the long-term future and the 1 or 2 seasons. But I'm gonna go 1 or 2 seasons because I do believe by then we will have, because he is 32. That means he'll be 34 maybe. No, I love him too much. Put him in the long-term future. One Gatesy, because I think he's superb. I think he's still
softy. You softy. You know what? The way you've been going, I thought you was a real hard case. I thought you was one of these managers that were really sort of, right, you ain't doing
He's
it.
too good.
Brutal, you're out. And
He's
you've just gone and done a complete about turn, Jake.
U-turn.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. Dear, oh dear.
He's just been too good in the last 18 months to really. He's been superb, and I still think that he'll have somewhere up there in West Ham in 2 or 3 years' time. So there you go. That's me done. There you go.
I think he's still got something to offer. Can you notice the last player?
He gets his own tier. I don't care. I'm not. No.
Yeah. Now, the plot twist was, ladies and gentlemen, I started alphabetically, I got to Masuwaku, and then I changed direction. The reason was so I could leave this person till last. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. West Ham, 500 plus appearances for the club, an absolute legend, a one-club man. I give you Mark Noble.
He gets his own tier, Gatesy, but there isn't his own tier, is there?
No, you got to make a choice.
No, he goes in the not sure category. I'm gonna sit on the fence. I'm gonna sit on the fence. Just because if that category said 1 season, not 1 or 2 seasons, I would have put him in the 1 season category.
Well,
I am going to
put him in the 1 or 2. It doesn't have to be 2 seasons. It could just be you want to keep him on for 1. You could put him in the 1 or.
I tell you what, I'm a hard manager now. I don't make.
Hang on, no, you weren't 5 minutes ago.
2 minutes ago. Yeah, I'm gonna put him in the not sure because we all love him. I don't need to say anything, do I? No. We all love him, and I think this season or next season will be his last. I just pray that there's 60,000 fans to say goodbye to the legend that is Mr. West Ham, Mr. Mark Noble. I just hope I'm there as well.
Here's something. You might remember this, Duke. I'm not too sure whether you might have a recollection of this or not, Jake. Do you think he will do what John Terry did and start his last match and then be substituted in the 16th minute, his shirt number, to receive a guard of honour, standing ovation and all that nonsense? Or do you think he's just going to go, nah, none of that?
Nah.
Yeah.
Did
you know that John Terry did that in his last game for Chelsea? Because he wore the number 26 shirt. Yes, he wore the number 26 shirt, and he started his last game for Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and on the 26th minute, he was substituted. And
was that his idea?
How? Of course it was.
Well, that just tells you enough about the man himself, then, doesn't it? Yeah, exactly.
How pretentious! He could have played that match for 80 minutes, whatever, 70 minutes, been subbed off. He could have got a standing ovation, guard of honour, there and open. 26 minutes. Gee whiz.
Yes, yeah, but then you're talking about the same guy that decided to become a full kit, and when he was suspended and decided to go get completely dressed up to go lift the trophy. I mean, listen, I get that the guy is the captain, and you know what? I wouldn't have been against him just slipping on a shirt or even one of the training tops, the tracksuit tops. The fact that he got into full kit, including shorts, socks, and boots, to go lift the cup. I can't even. I'm certainly not a fan of the guy.
We can't say what we think because there's a 13-year-old in the building with us, so we got to
trust me. He's heard the words.
He probably has.
How long you been going to West Ham, Jake? He's heard the words.
I went to my first game when I was 6, but I've really recollected the words in the last 3 years.
I rest my case.
There you go.
I've heard
So-
worse, I'm sure.
So,
From the
ladies
geezer
and
in front of me
gentlemen,
that's had about 6 pints and's absolutely hammered and just wants to sit there, stand there in the away end and just take the mick out of the away at the home fans. I've seen it all before.
So, ladies and gentlemen, just to go through Jake Cox's, the West Ham Unofficial maestro, his tier list going from long-term future, so players that he thinks will be at this club for 3 or more seasons: Michail Antonio, Saeed Benrahma, Jared Bowen, Vladimir Soufal, Virgil van Dawson, Issa Diop, Ben Johnson, not the sprinter, Jesse Lingard, Thomas Soucek, Declan Rice, and Angelo Ogbonna. The players that he's put in the categories of 1 or 2 seasons: Aaron Cresswell, Pablo Fornals, Lucas Fabianski, Ryan Fredericks, and Darren Randolph. The 2 players that he's not too sure of are Zandy Silva and Mark Noble. And the players that he is waving goodbye to: Winston Reed, Manuel Buena, Arthur Masuwaku, Manuel Lanzini, David Martin, Felipe Anderson, and surprise, surprise, Andre, the Ukrainian donkey, Yarmolenko. So, that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Any final words, Jose Cox?
Come on, you irons, and goodbye.
That is enough from me. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we depart, I'm going to do my usual shout out. Isla's Army, guys. As I said at the beginning, if you listen to it, please help us out where you can. And if you didn't listen to it, then that's the reason why I'm doing it at the end as well. Hopefully I've got your attention now. So this is a young 6-year-old girl who is fighting for her very existence. She has a rare form of cancer called neuroblastoma. Her family need to send her to all corners of the globe to give her life-prolonging, life-saving treatment, which is not available in this country. They have to put their entire life on hold and just basically do what they need to do, what you would do if it was your child, grandchild, whatever. They need your help. They need our help. If you've got £1, whatever, reach into that. You've got a PayPal there. You've got a Just Giving there. And if you can't do any of that, we appreciate it's tough times out there. Just share it. Keep the momentum going. Get behind this. Really, we need to try and help this young lady. And I couldn't care less if you're watching this and you're West Ham, Millwall, Tottenham, Chelsea, Liverpool, or you have no interest in football, no interest in sport. I could not care less. If you can help, please do. Thank you very much for listening. Jake, absolute pleasure to have you on, sir. Thank you for coming. Much appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
And before we sign off and I hit the end broadcast, I am going to give you guys out there in internet land, I'm going to give you a little opportunity to put your comments in the section below. Please, if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really would mean a lot to us. Duke and I are really trying our best to try and entertain you guys and inform where we can.
Subscribe,
like the video, subscribe. Yep, absolutely. Subscribe.
What I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna drop Duke in it big time here. If we get 100 subscribers on this channel by the end of March, Duke will sing a song to all of you lovely people, won't you, Duke?
You know what? Yes, I will.
Wow.
You know what? Listen, I get to pick the song. But yes, I will.
No, you don't. No, I tell you what.
Hang on.
100 subscribers and Jake picks the song.
Jake, listen. Jake.
Barbie girl, isn't it?
Too young. I think
girl.
Jake's a bit too young. But do you may have heard it, Jake. Do you remember the that Zamora song? Did you ever hear that Zamora?
I'll tell you what,
He's got no idea. He's 13.
Oh, well, I do that. I'll do that one. I'll do that Zamora.
Jake, you and me will have a chat, and I'll give you some suggestions.
I've got a suggestion, but I think it's a little bit inappropriate. But
we'll have a chat afterwards. We'll compare notes.
I hate the pair of you.
Please subscribe by the 31st of March. We need how many?
Yes.
53. I haven't done maths in about. Well, we're on 53, so that's
Yes.
47 subscribers. 47
Well-
subscribers, so that's 2 a day. So come on, guys, let's subscribe.
Well, of course.
Get subscribing. Let's go.
Well, of course.
Does anyone know if Hammer's Chat need a new reporter? Because I'm looking for a transfer now. I'm being ganged up on. I'm not enjoying this in the slightest.
They're well stocked. They don't need you. They don't.
Yeah, they
need
don't
you.
need you.
Thanks.
You know. Yeah. So you're stuck with it, really. But no, listen, Jake, thank you for coming on. It would be a great help to us, of course, if next time you did your show, maybe you give us a shout out on your channel and say, I've got 1,200 subscribers and counting. If there's 47 of you that would like to loan yourself, even if it's just for the last day of March and they all clear off again. I nearly said a rude word.
I prefer it if they didn't know personally.
Singing, that's fine. That's
What
absolutely
it is,
not a problem.
West Ham Unofficial. Check it out. That's the Twitter handle. West Ham Unofficial.
Yep.
You know. There you go.
Yep.
Let's get this channel to 100 subscribers because you will all be graced with that man and his voice.
I'm not doing Barbagirl. I'll clear that out now.
I've got a better one.
Jake, I did like you once.
All right.
You did. That's not what you told me.
Well, there you go. If you've got this far, if you've actually got this far, I think you need a reward.
Yeah, I think so. On that note, all I'm going to finish with, guys, is you can also join us at Twitter at Forge Talk, Facebook, and Forge from Iron. Thank you very much for joining us for the last hour and 6 minutes. God help you. Thank you very much for your time, Jake.
Thank you very much.
Duke, thank you for joining me as well.
Take care.
Laters, guys.
Come on, you Irons.
On to the Leeds game. Come on, you Irons.